So, you want to make a lot of dukes in 7 days to die as efficiently as possible. You've come to the right place. We're going to cover the basics of trading, how to maximize your discounts and money made, and then cover a bunch of really good ways to make a lot of money. Let's jump in. So, of course, to start out, you'll need to find yourself a trader to trade with. All of the traders are equal as far as selling items to them. When you're selling stuff to the traders, keep in mind that they will only buy a couple of stacks of each item every trade cycle, and you can see the next trade cycle reset in the top right of the trading menu here. It's pretty much every 3 days. When that cycle's over, they'll have new items to sell you, and you can sell them repeat items again. Outside of that limitation though, traders have infinite money, so you can rob them with whatever items you have. Alright, basic mechanics out of the way, let's get into the real money making. So, to get absolutely the most money in 7 days to die for each item you sell and for the cheapest items possible, you'll need discounts. The two easiest discounts are found by checking vending machines, 2 of which spawn in every trader compound for 2 items, sugar butts and awesome sauce. Each of these will give you 10% better prices when buying or selling at the trader. The downside being that they do cost a little bit of money to get and are only temporary, so you don't want to waste these on small purchases or small sales. Save them for buying big items or selling a lot of things at once to the trader. If you really want to dedicate yourself to this trading playstyle, just buy these 2 items whenever you see them, otherwise they can be a little bit troublesome to get a large amount of. The next thing you'll want is either the enforcer glasses or a ranger hat. These 2 items have the same effect of giving you between 2 and 20% better prices at the trader depending on item quality. Ideally, get yourself a level 6 of either of these, it doesn't really matter, just pick one and bring it with you whenever you go to the trader. These will combine with the previous items to get you up to a 40% discount. Relatively easy so far. There is also the athletics hat, which only applies to buying consumables, and preacher hats, which only apply to buying and not selling. They're fine if they're all you have access to, but all things being equal, get the glasses or the ranger hat. Next, we want a cigar. A cigar gives you 10% better prices at the trader and +1 strength. Make sure you have one of these equipped to your ranger hat or enforcer shades. You can rarely find these in desks and end loot, or you can find the urban combat skill book, which will let you craft them. But you will need testosterone extract, which can be rarely looted from medical loot or bought from Trader Jen, but if you have no luck there, killing a bear and using a knife on its body will work, and if you want to find bears, the snow biome has always got one lying around somewhere. To be clear, the cigar is an armor mod, not a consumable, so just make one and attach it to your headgear and you'll have the bonus as long as you have the headgear equipped. That gets us up to 50% better prices. Then we have better barter. This perk in the intellect tree is an expensive investment of 5 skill points, and it requires high intellect, but it will get you an additional 25% better price boost. This will get you up to 75% better prices. Additionally, you can get the Magnum Enforcer Volume 4 book, which will give you the ability to get a 5% discount when using any 44 weapon. It says the Magnum, but it does also include the Desert Vulture in the code, so either is fine. So that'll get you up to 80% better prices. The last item is the Pumpkin Cheesecake. This will give you an additional 5% discount, but only when buying items, not selling. It's a bit of a pain to make, it almost never actually spawns in loot, and it just isn't that powerful, but if you're dedicated to pinching those pennies, you should know this. You'll need 18 cooking skill, pumpkin, eggs, cornmeal, animal fat, and some beer to make it at a campfire. So with that, you'll get 85% off with any purchase and 80% more for any items you want to sell. One thing worth noting though, all your discounts don't actually apply at the vending machines because alas, you cannot riz the machine. Price is absolutely maximized. What can you actually do to make money? So you'll get money every time you complete a quest for the trader. Clears pay more than fetches and buried supplies, but fetch clears pay more than just clears. Nobody has ever done a restore power quest, so I have no idea what they give you. Could be a dry hand job and a pack of cigs for all I know. Anyway, questing is decent for money, especially if you're going to be running around clearing POIs anyway. You might as well get a few hundred to a few thousand more dukes for doing it. The biggest drawback with this method is you'll have to do high level quests to get much money, and it is much slower than the other methods we'll cover later later in the video. Picking Daring Adventurer in the intellect tree will help here because it increases the amount of dukes you get for quests. The real money will actually come from selling stuff. When you loot POIs, probably while you're questing, you'll usually get a few leveled items at the end, in particular at high levels. You might get a pretty high quality gun or piece of armor which you can sell for a few thousand dukes each. Generally, you'll want to repair these items and sell them to get full price. Combine this with the tips I showed you earlier to maximize your money, and it'll often net more than the actual quest reward. As a side note, by the way, the old tip that we used to give out for this, where you would put mods on your armor and weapons to make them increase in price exponentially, no longer works. So there's no real reason to put your mods on there, rather than just selling the mods independently. What you want to sell will depend on your needs. You might not need the armor or weapon or tools it provides, in which case just sell those, but you might also not have any particular need for, say, shotgun slugs. And ammo does sell very well. It's a bit backwards though to sell ammo because the main purpose at the end of the game when you have all these dukes is going to be to smelt them down into a forge, turn them into brass, and then make bullet casings out of them. So it's almost always going to be a waste to buy or sell ammo, unless you know you don't need that specific kind of ammo, or maybe you just need quick money. This is all also limited by needing to be a high level to really get anything worth selling. A much better method is the next one. By the way, if you're enjoying this video or finding it helpful, it would be greatly appreciated if you hit that like button and hey, maybe subscribe for more 7 Days to Die guides like this. So, get yourself a wrench, a ratchet, or an impact driver and go around scrapping pretty much every car you see. Fill your inventory with all of this stuff and sell the stuff you don't need. Now, of course, you may need some amount of all of these things throughout your playthrough, so make sure you keep a nice little stash of each of these before doing this strategy. If you want to take this a step further, you can get the Salvage Operations perk from the Perception tree. This will give you 100% more scrap and make you use less stamina when salvaging, making it all go much easier. Additionally, you can get the Scavenging gear. Now, the headpiece will give you Scavenging XP, which may or may not be of interest to you. The outfit will give you extra carry capacity. Again, mileage may vary. Two important pieces are the gloves, which give 30% better harvest, and the boots, which gives 40% less stamina use with salvaging tools. Additionally, look out for Hacker's Candy, which also spawns in vending machines. That'll give you 20% more salvage harvest. All that combined is 150% more salvage harvest, which is essentially 150% more money. If you want to take this even further, get yourself a workbench and get to level 20 in vehicle crafting. This will allow you to craft mini bike handlebars out of mechanical parts, springs, headlights, electrical parts, and short iron pipes, all of which you gather just by scrapping cars. These items have a combined selling price of about 121 dukes, but if you can craft them into mini bike handlebars, you can sell the same things for 360 dukes as a base before discounts and stuff. The reason we're using the mini bike handlebars is because they're the best option for making money from salvaging alone that doesn't include any kind of non-salvageable item. For example, if we go one level up to motorcycle handlebars, these do sell for 600 dukes, which is significantly better, but they also require a very costly 15 duct tape, which probably isn't going to be worth the time and resources that would take. You can sell 3 stacks of these to each trader every trade cycle, so it's very unlikely that you'll find yourself unable to sell more. If you want to take this even further, you can get the first 2 ranks of Grease Monkey, which will give you 33% cheaper crafting of mini bike parts. This will reduce your costs such that 89 dukes worth of scrap can be turned into 360 dukes rather than the 121 dukes previously. With all the tips combined, you can sell a stack of handlebars for 32,400 dukes, meaning you can get just under 100,000 dukes from each trader per cycle, which is pretty good. That's also just under 100,000 XP as well, which is not a bad late game leveling method. But what if that's all too much work? And besides, it is technically unsustainable. You will run into shortages of cars and these materials eventually, and you might need them for your base. Don't worry, we have another option. This option is much less potential per trader per cycle, at only about 27,000 per trader per cycle with max discounts, but it's also a lot less hassle in my opinion and requires far less perk investment than the salvaging crafting loop. This one is simply growing supercorn. Supercorn, with all the boosts I just mentioned, can sell for 9,000 jukes per stack, allowing 27,000 jukes per trader per cycle. The upside being that farming is infinite. You can always grow more crops and you can always place more farm plots. The only real limitation being here that you will of course have to cut down all this supercorn, and at a certain point of growth it will stop being worth the time it takes to plant and break down. Fortunately, supercorn is one of the few crops you can cut down with a chainsaw, meaning you can collect it far faster than most. Now I could go on a deep dive about how to get the most crops possible and how to unlock supercorn, but this video is already decently long and I literally just made a guide on how to maximize farming. So if you found this helpful and you want to use the supercorn selling method, I would recommend checking out this video on screen where I go over how to become an absolute master of farming. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in the next video.